From his domination in karting to becoming the youngest driver on the 2025 grid, Kimi Antonelli has shown skills that caught the attention of the entire motorsport world. But how good is he really? Today, we'll find out.
He was on it like a qualifying lap. On the first run, we were on board with the whole...
Kimi Antonelli was born to race, coming from a family where speed and competition were basically family traditions. His dad Marco was a sports car driver who competed in all sorts of racing series like Blancpain GT Series, Porsche Super Cup, and International GT Open. Though Marco didn't make it to Formula 1, he made sure his son did. Marco owned the San Marino-based AKM Motorsport team that's been in the Italian F4 Championship since 2022, so young Kimi was drowning in motorsport culture from day one. One weird side note, but I was absolutely convinced Kimi was named after Raikkonen. Turns out that wasn't true at all. He's named after the brother of his dad, Andrea Antonelli, who was a huge Kimi Raikkonen fan. So obviously his nickname was Kimi, and that's where Andrea Kimi Antonelli originates. By age 9 in 2015, Kimi won the Easy Kart International Grand Final despite qualifying from the 11th row of the grid, with more than 20 racers in front of him. I mean, who does that? A 9-year-old kid slicing through the field like it's nothing. In the seasons after, Antonelli kept developing in the WSK Kart series that's basically produced half the current F1 grid, including guys like Lando Norris, Oscar Piastri, and Logan Sargent. In 2018, he won the finale of the WSK Champions Cup and took victory in the ROK Cup International Final.
Sì, è stata molto difficile perché Alex era molto veloce.
Antonelli's karting success just kept piling up at this mental rate. 2019 was maybe his best year in karting, winning the WSK Supermaster Series and WSK Euro Series, while also placing 5th in his first trip to the FIA World Championships. His back-to-back victories caught the attention of a certain Formula 1 team. And that's where things got interesting. You see, while most Italian racing wonder kids end up at Ferrari's driver academy, Antonelli's path took a different turn. In 2019, when he was just 12 years old, Antonelli signed with the Mercedes Junior team. Let me just remind you, this is a 12-year-old. I mean, I was real busy in the Call of Duty lobby at that time, but that's about it. The initial contract was for 1 year, as Mercedes wanted to see if the kid could actually deliver. After proving himself in 2018, the contract was extended, cementing his place in the Mercedes development program. With Mercedes backing him, Antonelli's development hit another level.
New 2020 European champion for Italy, Andrea Kimi Antonelli!
In 2020, he kept dominating in karting with wins in the WSK Euro Series and the FIA European Championship. His final year in karts was basically just him winning everything, establishing him as one of the most promising talents in years. Antonelli's move to single-seaters began in 2021 when he turned 15. He debuted in selected events in both the Italian and the UAE Formula 4. This was the moment of truth. Would his karting skills translate to proper race cars? Spoiler alert, they bloody well did. In Italian F4, Antonelli made 9 race starts and got 3 podiums at Monza, finishing 10th in the driver's standings despite missing half the season. His future Prime teammate Oliver Behrman took overall honors that year, but everyone was watching Antonelli. In UAE F4, Kimi found even more success, winning 2 races and scoring a further 5 podium finishes in limited appearances. Not a bad result for a rookie. The 2022 season saw Antonelli return to Italian F4 with Prema, but this time he absolutely dominated. He won 13 races in total, while also capturing pole position and fastest lap in all but 6 rounds out of 20. At just 15 years old, Antonelli was setting a new standard for young drivers. At the same time, he competed in the ADAC F4 Championship, which he similarly dominated, winning the title courtesy of 9 race victories, 12 podium finishes, and 7 pole positions. Listen, most drivers struggle to focus on one championship. This kid was winning 2 at the same time like it was nothing. By the end of 2022, Antonelli had graduated from Formula 4 with an astonishing record. 26 wins, 24 pole positions, and 37 podium finishes in just 57 appearances, establishing himself as one of the most successful drivers in the history of the discipline.
Brilliant race. Tell us all about it.
It was a really tough race, starting from P4.
I had a good start, and
However, rather than following the normal path to Formula 3, Antonelli progressed to Formula Regional Series in 2023, a category using F3-based cars that served as an intermediary step between F4 and full F3. The kid actually wanted to go straight to F3, but after talking with Mercedes, they decided on regionals, not because of pace concerns, but for experience. Given how young he still was, I do think it was fair. So, Antonelli competed in both the Formula Regional European Championship and the Middle East Championship. Of course, in true Antonelli fashion, he won both titles. Perhaps his most impressive performance came at Zandvoort in the European Championship. Starting from 8th on the grid, Antonelli charged through the field to win the race by an astounding margin of over 12 seconds in mixed weather conditions. This victory, which helped him clinch the championship, demonstrated his exceptional car control. He secured a total of 8 victories and 18 podium finishes across the two series. Every time this kid moved up a category, I thought, surely now he'll struggle a bit, and then he'd just go and win everything again.
First question, when did you start racing?
So I first went on a go-kart when I was 5, but then I started properly racing when I was 7.
Following his dominant performances in Formula Regional, Mercedes team leadership in Prima made the decision to promote Antonelli directly to Formula 2 for the 2024 season, skipping Formula 3 entirely. This leap represented a significant challenge for Antonelli. Formula 2 features carbon brakes and more complex aerodynamics with ground effect. Additionally, Prima's setup data from previous years was now outdated due to new regulations, removing another potential advantage. To be fair, the transition wasn't entirely smooth. Antonelli struggled initially in postseason testing. Basically, in F2, tires peak early, so you must push from the start. In regionals, you manage early and attack later. That shift seemed kinda hard for Kimi. The brakes were another challenge, they're carbon, and he had trouble warming them up to optimal temperature. The opening round in Bahrain was kinda tough. The team struggled with car setup issues, leaving Kimi pointless in the sprint race. However, he managed to secure a single point by finishing 10th in the feature race. Despite modest results, he outperformed his more experienced teammate Oliver Behrman in both races. The second round in Jeddah showed improvement, with Antonelli securing 2 sixth-place finishes. Australia marked another step forward. Antonelli qualified second, a mere 0.3 seconds off pole position and an impressive 1.5 seconds ahead of Behrman. Although he spun into the gravel during the sprint race, he fought back in the feature race, briefly leading after the first lap before ultimately finishing 4th. With rumors swirling about a possible Formula 1 seat in 2025, every race Kimi drove was under the spotlight. The attention went mental when Lewis Hamilton announced his shock move to Ferrari for 2025, leaving a vacant seat at Mercedes that many speculated would be filled by the young Italian. Despite this pressure, Antonelli maintained his focus on the task at hand, improving as a Formula 2 driver and extracting the maximum from his Prema machine. As Toto Wolff repeatedly emphasized during this period, the priority was to develop Antonelli properly and not rush his progression to Formula 1.
you're not talking shit about me, right?
The turning point in Antonelli's Formula 2 season came at Silverstone, where he claimed his maiden victory in the rain-affected sprint race. Starting from pole position, due to the reverse grid format, Antonelli maintained his composure through multiple safety car periods and a red flag to secure his first win in the category. The momentum continued in Hungary, where Antonelli claimed his first feature race win. Starting from 7th on the grid, he climbed through the field, eventually winning by an astounding margin of over 13 seconds. This dominant performance elevated him to 6th in the championship standings. I don't know about you, but it's impressive by my standards, and even more impressive would be reaching 15,000 subscribers by summer break. So if you like this video so far, don't forget to subscribe! Throughout the remainder of the season, Antonelli continued to impress with his raw speed and racecraft. In Spa, he executed a breathtaking overtake on Franco Colapinto into the famous Eau Rouge, a move that earned him the Dallara Award for Best Overtaking Maneuver of the season. By the season's end, Antonelli had secured 2 victories and 3 podium finishes, placing 6th in the final standings despite missing the final round at Yas Marina due to illness. For a rookie who had skipped Formula 3 entirely, this was an impressive achievement that validated Mercedes' faith in his abilities. while competing in Formula 2, Antonelli was simultaneously being prepared for a potential Formula 1 future. Mercedes organized private testing sessions, and in April 2024, Antonelli conducted his first two-day test with Mercedes, driving the W12, their 2021 championship-winning car, at the Red Bull Ring. Despite challenging conditions, including rain and even snow on the first day, Antonelli completed 116 laps on day 2, nearly 500 kilometers in an F1 car in a day. Further private tests followed at Silverstone, Barcelona, and Spa, with Antonelli gradually progressing to the 2022 Spec W13. I mean, this just shows you that Mercedes seem to know how to make sure their drivers succeed, unlike their mates at Red Bull, who prefer just throwing people into F1 and wondering why it didn't work out. The culmination of this testing program came at the 2024 Italian Grand Prix, where Antonelli made his official Formula 1 weekend debut, participating in the first free practice session in George Russell's W15 car. You couldn't have written a better script. With an Italian teenager making his F1 weekend debut at Monza in front of his home crowd, Netflix was probably very happy. Unfortunately, Antonelli's session ended prematurely when he lost control at the Parabolica corner just 10 minutes into the session. Despite this setback, Mercedes team principal Toto Wolff defended Antonelli, emphasizing that mistakes are part of the learning process for any young driver. Antonelli participated in a second practice session at the Mexico City Grand Prix, where he finished a respectable 12th, despite again ending his session prematurely after sustaining floor damage from debris. But with all of this testing, was he good enough to finally join Mercedes' F1 team?
The program of Kimi driving Formula 1 has been in place for a long time.
While George Russell's position within the team was solidifying in 2024, the question of who would join him in 2025 remained open. Mercedes evaluated various options. Carlos Sainz was perhaps the most obvious candidate. With Hamilton taking his seat at Ferrari, Sainz found himself as the odd man out in the 2025 driver market despite strong performances during his Ferrari years. According to reports, Sainz was pushing for a multi-year deal, specifically a 2+1 structure, which would give him security beyond a single season. This clashed with Mercedes' preference for shorter commitments, as they were looking for a 1+1 deal. Another option was Max Verstappen. I mean, it wasn't an option really, but a pipe dream. Max was in the midst of internal team turmoil following the horn dog controversy, and Mercedes tried to take advantage of that, reportedly preparing an offer that would make Verstappen the highest paid driver in Formula 1 history if he considered switching teams.
Lately, Toto's been really nice, saying a lot of nice things about him.
Toto Wolff made no secret of his admiration for Verstappen, having previously expressed regret at missing the opportunity to sign him earlier in his career. That plan ended up falling through, cause Max is not going to Mercedes anytime soon, and we all know that.
I don't know.
Fernando Alonso was also briefly considered as a potential short-term solution. The two-time world champion, despite his advancing age, had demonstrated with Aston Martin that he was still performing at an extremely high level. A one-year deal with Alonso could have given Antonelli more time to develop in Formula 2. I bet you the old Spanish fox still had plenty of fight left in him. But he's getting real old. Look at the Australian race this year.
Oh, into the wall we go. Fernando Alonso hits the barriers.
Antonelli remained the internal favorite. Moreover, promoting from within aligned with Mercedes' philosophy of nurturing their own talent, a strategy that had worked wonderfully with Russell. And hey, even though I don't really like Russell, I still think he's a half-decent driver. He should just get a little edge to him, come out as a great Diablo player. That usually does it. One interesting subplot in the Antonelli saga was the possibility of placing him at Williams for his rookie season, following the model used with Russell a few years earlier. This approach would have allowed Antonelli to gain Formula 1 experience in a lower pressure environment before moving to Mercedes. The idea gained traction when Logan Sargent's struggles at Williams continued into the 2024 season. Speculation mounted that Antonelli might replace the American mid-season either at the Italian Grand Prix in May or after the summer break at Monza, a fitting venue for an Italian driver's debut. There were complications with this plan. First, Antonelli couldn't race in Formula 1 until his 18th birthday on August 25th, 2024, unless the FIA granted a special exemption similar to the one given to Max Verstappen years earlier. This timeline restriction limited the viability of a mid-season switch. More significantly, Williams' own position had evolved. Under the leadership of team principal James Vowles, Williams had become more independent and less willing to serve as a Mercedes development team.
Kimi Antonelli, Formula 1 race driver.
After months of speculation and rumors, Mercedes finally confirmed what many had predicted since Lewis Hamilton's shock Ferrari announcement. Andrea, Kimi, and Antonelli would replace the 7-time world champion at Mercedes for the 2025 Formula One season. At just 18 years old, Antonelli would become the 3rd youngest driver in Formula One history when making his debut at the 2025 Australian Grand Prix. Antonelli approached his first race weekend with remarkable composure. Throughout the practice sessions, he methodically built his understanding of the track and the car, gradually increasing his pace while avoiding any major mistakes. Qualifying, however, brought the first significant challenge of Antonelli's Formula One career. A small mistake in his final Q1 lap, combined with floor damage, left him down in 16th position, a disappointing outcome after showing promising pace in practice. Little did anyone know that Antonelli's comment about recovery would prove remarkably far-sighted. Race day in Melbourne dawned wet, with intermittent rain creating treacherous conditions that would test the skills of even the most experienced drivers. Most of the rookies were out in about the first 20 laps or so. However, Antonelli worked his way through the chaos of 3 safety cars and found himself gunning for a podium spot. While a 5-second penalty for an infringement in the pits initially put him back to 5th, stewards later reversed that decision. That lifted spirits at Mercedes even higher after George Russell finished 3rd. From 16th on the grid to 4th at the checkered flag, he had become the 2nd youngest point scorer in Formula One history and achieved the best debut result for any driver since 2014. Even Lewis Hamilton, watching his former team's new recruit from the Ferrari garage, was impressed.
Yeah, I mean, at first I was smiling because just looking at this youngster here, and I'm just happy for him. He's doing so well and conducting himself so well.
If Antonelli's Australian Grand Prix performance had been impressive, his follow-up in China would prove that it was no fluke. The Shanghai International Circuit presented an entirely different challenge, as it's a technical track with a unique layout. Adding to the challenge, the Chinese Grand Prix weekend featured the first sprint format of the 2025 season, giving Antonelli minimal practice time to learn a circuit he had never previously experienced. Yet once again, Kimi rose to the occasion. He finished 7th in the sprint, falling behind Yuki Tsunoda at the start. Sunday's qualifying session was mixed, with Antonelli qualifying 8th. However, Russell qualified 2nd, and I guess that's exactly where that experience shows, doesn't it? The race itself saw Kimi maintain position. Not flashy, not desperate, just methodical and effective. Both Ferraris of Leclerc and Hamilton were disqualified post-race for a technical infringement, elevating Antonelli to 6th place. So how good is Kimi Antonelli actually? Well, I think he's a future star with potential that rivals Max Verstappen. There are striking parallels between his development and that of today's most dominant drivers. Like Verstappen, Antonelli comes from a racing family with a father who never quite made it to F1 himself. Marco Antonelli, much like Jos Verstappen, channeled his own racing knowledge and unfulfilled ambitions into his son's career, providing both the infrastructure and the mentality needed to succeed at the highest level. This pattern of intense early specialization under the guidance of a father with unfinished F1 business is proving to be a powerful formula for creating exceptional drivers. Starting karting from literally the moment these children could reach the pedals seems to do the trick as well. Antonelli's path to F1 shares the same relentless quality we saw with Verstappen, dominating every category and skipping steps in the traditional ladder when their talent simply outgrew the competition. The combination of raw pace, racecraft intelligence, and technical maturity suggests we're not just looking at a future race winner, but a multiple world champion in the making. Mercedes hasn't simply found Lewis Hamilton's replacement, they've secured the cornerstone of their next dynasty. The only question left is, how many more children of almost made-it racing fathers will we see reaching the pinnacle in the coming years? I bet like 5. Let me know your guesses in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.